Good morning, SYNGAP land. My name is Michael Graglia, and this is episode 81 of SYNGAP 10. I'm in a hotel room in Boston, and it is dark 30. It is 5:30 in the morning in Boston, which means my body thinks it's 2:30 on the West Coast. Why am I awake? I don't understand, honestly. But it's fine because I wanted to make this episode, so here I am. It is Monday, and on Friday, I flew to Atlanta, and then on Saturday, we had the SYNGAP Soiree, which I'm going to tell you all about in a second, and that was 2 days ago. And then on Sunday, which was yesterday, I flew to Boston for a meeting I'm going to today. But last night, the Boston families got together, and I'm going to tell you about that too, because they were both incredible. Let's start with the soiree. Huge congratulations to Brent and Suzanne Jones on throwing the first annual, I hope, SYNGAP Soiree. It was a tremendous success. They have set the bar. I don't know if you remember, but Suzanne Jones was only diagnosed a year ago, and she came in swinging with a fundraiser. And this year, she's like, "No, I'm going to do an event." And Suzanne just really likes to knock things out of the park. And the scale and scope of this event was amazing. There were over 400 people there, and they had a beautiful event. Um, Suzanne and her co-host spoke at the top. I talked about SYNGAP for about 10 minutes. They didn't let me talk for more than that because I can just keep going, but they pulled me off. And then Suzanne and Brent had done a family video that they shared, and then we did an auction. So it was just a tremendous evening. Vicky Arteaga from our board was in town from Florida, so she went, and just really the event was a great success. Good job. And I want to tell you though about some of my favorite moments that actually happened before the event. So because we had all the families in town for the event, we had a lunch, and that was that was exceptional for a couple of reasons. First of all, there were families in Georgia that hadn't met each other yet, and they met at that lunch, and that's awesome. Like if that's what it takes to get families to meet, let's throw more galas, because I'd say just well, there are two things. There's two things I want to share. One of them is that there was one family there, um, and hopefully they won't mind me sharing this because I actually took both their phones and typed SYNGAP 10 and signed them up for the podcast. Literally, when you're talking to people about SYNGAP, they're SYNGAPies, like, "Are you signed up for SYNGAP 10?" And they're like, "What's SYNGAP 10?" Take their phone, type SYNGAP 10, hit subscribe, do them a favor. But and this family, they were in the room, and then we continued to talk at the actual event, and they kept sort of saying things and looking at each other and realizing that they're not as alone as they thought they were. They're not as alone as they thought they were. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you could see that they were like, there's a whole community, and they're on the mailing list. They're in the Facebook group, but I think they had felt physically removed, and that it was really their job to just love their child and be at home and take care of their kid, and it was them against the world. And I understand that, and I see families going through that. Certainly, I've been there before. But you know, one of my mentors likes to say that feeling is real but not true. That feeling is real but not true. So it feels that way. In your heart, you're like, nobody gets my kid, nobody gets my life. It's just us against. We got to take care of this kid. We got to hunker down. That feeling is very real. That comes from our lived experience, but it's not true. Just because it feels real, it's not true. And and what struck me through that day was seeing this family go through that realization that this is real but not true. They are actually not alone. There are other families of SYNGAP right there in Atlanta. There are other families of SYNGAP across the country. By the way, there's families of STXBP1, Dravet, Angelman. There's a lot of special needs families with extremely rare children, probably closer to you than you think if you go looking for them. But that's a separate conversation. So we're not as alone as we think. And I think one of the special things I saw in that day was this beautiful couple constantly realizing that. And you could almost see in their head the construct breaking and then realizing there's a community here. There's a way to live this life. We're going to be okay. And that was heartwarming. The other thing I really loved, again, related to this family. So we're in the room, people are walking in, getting ready for lunch. And you know, Suzanne walks in, and Suzanne comes in with Jansen and a couple of family members to take care of Jansen. And this family's little girl, so Jansen's, I should know this, 8 or 9, and this little girl's 4 or 5. So many kids, so many ages. And this little girl just looks at Jansen. They have never met. They have never met. No one has said, hey, this is Jansen. She's got SYNGAP. Hey, none of that had happened. Jansen walks in the room. This little girl just looks up at her, walks over to her, and hugs her. And Jansen's like, hugs her back. And this went on for minutes. There's these two SYNGAPians embracing, no words, no intro, no parental handling. And then a similar thing happened, not as repetitive, with two SYNGAP boys who were in the room a little later. But our kids really get each other in a way that I think most people don't. So that was wonderful. And then I want to point out in the show notes, there's a video that Brent and Suzanne released yesterday, and it was a family video, and I strongly encourage you to watch it. It's the first link in the show notes, and these videos are a ton of work. You got to schedule, you got to hire someone. They come, they video you, they do something, you send it back, you say change this, change this, change this. There's 2 other families going through it right now. They're tremendous effort. So everyone who makes a family video, just for that, I'm grateful, because we got to share these things. We got to get the word out. And this one being launched at the Soiree was really impactful too. So go check out that video. It's exceptional. If you as a family want to do one, let us know. Let's get it done. And then I woke up and flew to Boston. And last night, the Boston families who have already knew each other. We just had a dinner at Tavilla's house. And the Tavillas, if you haven't heard me rave about them, this massive Italian family here in Boston. They have a child, and they're a big Italian family. So they do what big Italian families do, which is get everyone together. And so the Bostonians, they all were, oh yeah, we're going to Susan's house, and everybody just knew their way around the house, and it was really lovely. We just had dinner last night, and the kids were knew each other, and they knew their way around the house. And Susan had put out an incredible spread, and it was just so lovely to see our SYNGAP community connecting and functioning and being together. And I encourage anyone who's anywhere where there's more than 2 SYNGAPians to start doing that yourself. Just invite people over. In both places, somebody said to me, he says, so nice to come to somewhere with my kid, and not be on guard, and not be worried, about what they're going to touch or what they're going to break or what's going to happen. And everyone's just kicking back. It was magical. It was really, I don't know. I'm still bathing in it. So let's get to work. We have more to talk about. I have not enough minutes left. 2 things for the Soiree. So the first thing for the Soiree, Summer just emailed me or texted me or something, and she has a great idea, because it's going to be on the Thursday. It's going to be family members and scientists. And one of the first questions scientists and doctors will ask you is, tell me about your kid. Yeah? And so Summer has suggested that we do little buttons with our kid's picture on them, just like little round buttons, and she's going to coordinate that. So if you are coming to SYNGAP-A-PALOOZA, if you're coming to our meeting on December 1st, please email Summer a picture of your kid, and we will make a nice little laminated button with a little SRF on it and everything, that you can wear at the meeting. So you can be like, hey, here's my kid. So you don't have to fumble with your phone and be like, look, it'll just be done. So email summer@syngapresearchfund.org, a picture of your kid. We'll take care of the rest, and we'll get you a button. You don't email her, you're not going to get a button. It's totally up to you. The other thing, we've talked a lot about Citizen, and we will always talk about Citizen because it's the greatest thing ever, and we should all do it. But there is another registry we are working with called RareX. RareX is a part of Global Genes now. Global Genes is the best organization in rare, and they have this registry that we're also wanting to support, and they're going to be at our meeting, and they're going to read out some surveys. So if you have time, and if you've signed up for Citizen, you should always sign up for Citizen first. But after you sign up for Citizen, if you have time, please go to syngap1.rarex.org. There's a dash in RareX. I know, why do they make it so complicated? syngap1.rare-x.org. Sign up and fill in the questionnaire. And they're gonna take the data that they get from those questionnaires, and they're gonna read that out at our meeting. So you have about 10 days to do that. They're pulling data on November 25th. So please sign up for RareX so you can see your data compared to other people's data at the meeting by the Dream Team at RareX. It's a pretty impressive group, and RareX is, we'll talk about the data architecture later. Like RareX and Citizen, Ariat and Simons are all working together. And what's cool about RareX is that they're working with a lot of rare diseases. So it's just another chance to have our data side by side with other organizations. It's going to be fabulous. On top of that, it's already 10:25. Darn. On top of that, today is going to be the Stoke announcement, the readout on their Dravet data. So I'll be talking more about that in the next episode. And I'm off to PMC. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.